Hi everyone, back to Evermore YouTube channel. It's Chris back with my rant stroke thought of the day. And Big Yas apparently has been in Toon and he's not very happy if you believe what you are reading. So yeah, Yasir Al-Rumayyan came to Newcastle United and apparently he was not very happy with the recruitment team and he wanted to have a few words with them about what was going on. So we don't actually know what was said. I've seen some reports saying there was some kind of emergency Zoom meeting held, crisis talks people have used to try and sort out the absolute clusterfuck that is Newcastle United's recruitment drive this summer. Obviously, Eddie Howe's over in Korea with the team, so he's dealing with that. I think Nixon and Andy Howe are back on Tyneside, so maybe the meeting was with them potentially. Alexander Isak, we still don't know what's going on. There's stories doing the rounds that he's agreed personal terms with Liverpool and he's just waiting for Newcastle and Liverpool to agree a fee, which you can take any way you want. You can say it's just bullshit clickbait, or you can say there's probably a little bit of truth in it. The truth probably lies somewhere in the middle, I would say. There is a little bit of clickbaitiness about it, but I think if Alexander Isak's people have been talking to Liverpool, they've been doing it without the permission of Newcastle United, so then that's another bad situation as well to go through, isn't it? But, you know, the way things are escalating, the way things are looking, I just think there is only one outcome here, that Isak leaves the football club. However, if Newcastle United don't get the Benjamin Sesko deal done, which apparently we are locked in a head-on battle with Manchester United over, then I don't think Isak goes anywhere. I think Isak stays at the football club. That might have been another big reason why Big Yas was on at times. I'm going to call him Big Yas because I'll probably fuck up his surname. So Big Yas will do. You know who I mean. You know what I'm talking about. The guy with Newcastle lining in his jacket. He wasn't wearing that from the pictures that I saw. But yeah, there are definitely some explanations need to be done here. And I think what it does tell you is PIF have maybe realised that they fell asleep at the wheel here and they've completely ignored this project. We'll get into the project in a second, but, you know, they've ignored it and because of that, it's gone to rock and ruin. I still can't fathom. I said this on What's Going On last night. I'm a bit calmer than I was on What's Going On. And by the way, people who leave comments about don't swear, it says in the description it's not for kids, for God's sake. I saw some ridiculous comments saying, was it a 10-year-old grandson watches it, and then proceeded to say, would I swear in front of my grandkids? Get fucked. You know you're winding up there. Bollocks, man. I'm 40-odd-year-old, you dickhead. I haven't got a fucking grandchild. Anyway, moving on. I had to get that one out. It's just stupid comments, some weird comments on YouTube, they really are. If you responded to them all, it'd be a full-time job, it really would. But going back to the situation, I can't fathom how the sporting director was allowed to just go, oh, my mate's gone, so I'm going as well. See ya, right in the middle of arguably the most important transfer window since the takeover of Newcastle United. It's just such bad planning as a football club. And whoever's responsible for that, whether it's Darren Eales or whether it's PIF themselves, they've dropped the ball. There's no doubt whatsoever they've dropped the ball. Now, there's rumours that we are getting a new sporting director. I think it's Ross, isn't it? That's from Jack Ross, I think is from Nottingham Forest. And then there's supposed to be a new CEO who used to work for Real Madrid, supposedly coming in. But they need to be in there now because you've got a star player wanting to leave. You've got targets that we can't secure. So them two lads need to be in post right now and getting to work and sorting stuff out, because Eddie Howe's over in Korea trying to plan for pre-season games and work with the squad and manage fitness of players like Sven Botman and Joe Linton. You know, and he can't be on the blow every 2 minutes trying to secure transfer targets. You know, and Nixon and Howe seem to be woefully out of the depth in terms of dealing with targets. Nixon's done a great job in terms of scouting players at the club. You know, he was instrumental in Bruno Guimaraes and Sven Botman deals, so you've got to give Nixon some credit there. But this is maybe a step too far for Nixon. But there is definitely an issue going on with Newcastle United and this project as well, which I'm going to get into right now. So this project, as they called it when they first came in, we want to be number one, Big Yas said. Man, the Saviour said we want to win a Champions League in 5 years, which, yes, was a little bit excessive. But hey, shoot for the stars and land on the moon type thing. You know, I respect it. I do. But has the project stalled? What's happened with the project? I saw a brilliant podcast from True Faith the other day. Mick Martin was on fire. And he asked a great question. Now, Mick's right down the middle. You can never accuse Mick of not coming forward with what he thinks. And I respect that massively about him. I do. And he said, are we any further forward, really, since the takeover, really, in terms of the infrastructure of the club? And forget about the players that we signed in that first spell of the window. We had to sign those players or we would have got relegated. As simple as that. That was a necessity. We had to sign those players or we would have went down. Trippier, Byrne, Bruno, Botman, Isak as well, we would have went down. You know, so they had to be done. They had to be done. Now, that window was slipped off the PSR, balance sheet. So Newcastle got money to spend this summer. That's not a problem, right? Now, there is no training ground. No new training ground, which was something they said they were going to do as soon as they came in. There is no training ground. There's no sign of a training ground. There's not even a sponsor for the current training ground. That's a big issue. The new stadium talk has just become some kind of weird myth, some enigma, some urban legend that we'll tell our grandkids about when we do have fucking grandkids, by the way, not when we're in our 40s. Something we'll tell our grandkids about when we're old, because there doesn't seem to be anything going on with the new stadium. There's no announcement about it. And it seems to be, as Mick said on the True Faith podcast as well, it seems to be this kind of emergency break glass, put a stadium story out. That'll keep them happy, I'm looking at Newcastle United's Twitter page here. And bear in mind, there's been no players signed. We're talking about signing Aaron Ramsdale on loan, who makes more mistakes than Conor McGregor, as I said on what's going on the other night. That's not an ambitious signing. That's an aggressive signing. That's a signing that flattens you, doesn't raise you up, no matter how logical you want to try and be about it. Loan to buy is probably the only sensible thing I can say about that particular deal. So Isak looks like he's going. We might not get our top target to replace him. We're signing Aaron Ramsdale. And what did the club do? Hey, buy these new trainers. Buy these new Newcastle United trainers. Here's a new away ticket scheme, which is even more complex for you to fucking understand. They're not reading the room at all. There's nobody driving the bus. There's nobody in charge. And it's showing, it's telling. We're in the Champions League. We're in the biggest competition in European football, if not world club football. And we are a fucking shambles, man. We can't get any players over the line. We don't seem to be moving. And I'm hoping that's what Big Yasir's meeting was all about. PIF, strap on your big boy pants and get this shit sorted. We need, before this window closes, we need a right-sided centre-half and a good one as well. Bit younger, bit more pace, be it Scalvini, be it Gahey. We need a player in that position. We need a centre midfielder because Sean Longstaff's gone. Joe Willock is a ghost of the player that he used to be. And, none of the youth academy players outside Lewis Miley are good enough to come into the squad by the looks of it. So we need another midfielder. Can you get Harvey Elliott as part of the Isak deal? If Isak's going to go, try push for that. Try get that sorted. But who's there to negotiate any of that? Nobody right now. Nobody. And we need a centre forward even if Isak stays. If Isak goes, we need two. Šeško, Visa. We're not getting either one of them at the minute. We're at a stalemate. We're at a stagnant place as a club in the transfer scenario. And there needs to be a huge flurry of activity over the next 3 weeks for Newcastle United to end this transfer window in a strong position. Listen, if they end it with Elanga, Ramsdale on loan, whether you like him or not, that's the goalkeeper situation ticked in terms of a keeper that can use his feet. And if you end up with a good right-sided centre-half, a centre midfielder, and Šeško and Visa, and you lose Isak, then the squad is not massively weaker than what it is, or what it was. I mean, is it a bit weaker losing Alexander Isak? I would say so, definitely, because he's world-class. But he does get injuries, he does get knocks. Visa can get 20 goals in the Premier League, we saw that. Šeško could hit the league and be like the new Haaland. But these are all massive what-ifs. The Newcastle United have failed to do anything thus far in the transfer window on, and we are relying on them, going into overdrive in the next 3 to 4 weeks to get this sorted. If that's what Big Yasir's meeting was about, I'm all for it. I really am, because somebody's arse needs to be kicked. In all fairness, you could get rid of the entire fucking hierarchy at the football club and restaff it with proper people, but those people need to be the right decisions, the right appointments that are going to stay for 2 or 3 years and build an infrastructure and be able to work with a manager. I look at Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe's success has probably been his biggest crutch with these people, because make no mistake about it, without Eddie Howe, over the last 3 years, this football club would never have achieved what it's achieved. It wouldn't have got saved from relegation. It wouldn't have got Champions League twice in 3 years. It wouldn't have won the first trophy in 70 years. That has all largely been dependent on one man's ability to get the best out of a very, very thin squad that had a spattering of quality at the start, but then nothing for 3 windows after that. Yes, you had Tonali, Bonds, Tino and Howe in the window after the first initial window. But outside of those 2 windows, we've done nothing for the last 3 windows, 4 windows now that we're in. Is it the 5th window we're in now? And if you don't move forward as a club, you stand still. And Newcastle are at a situation now where they're in the top 5. They want to be in the top 4 or top 5 clubs every single season. But this is by design, by the Premier League. This is exactly what they wanted. When they brought in FFP and PSR, they wanted to lock clubs out of the executive washroom. They wanted to keep you down at your level, keep their foot on your throat. They wanted you to find players from nowhere for 2 million quid, like a Kante or a Mahrez, that Leicester used to have, You're like a Wayne Rooney at Everton. They want you to grow these players homegrown, sign these players, and then the top clubs will come and pick them off you, and then they'll go on and win Premier League titles and Champions Leagues and all sorts of stuff and be classed as Premier League legends. Look at Southampton, Liverpool used to pick them clean for a player every single fucking window. And that's what the Premier League wants. This is by design. It's corrupt. It's anti-competitive. They do not want the other 14 teams in this league to do anything other than feed the big dogs. And it's pathetic. These are the same teams that nearly fucked off to start the Super League. And sometimes I wish I could quantum leap back in time and just fucking let them go. Just on you go, fuck off and go. What would the Premier League have looked like today had those 6 fucked off to the Super League? It's really interesting. Pause and think about that for a minute. Would this Premier League be more competitive, more enjoyable, and less sycophantically biased towards 6 teams who are able to spend 4 times the wealth the other teams can amass underneath? They've put sponsorship restrictions in place. They're bringing in this bullshit wage to turnover ratio where none of the clubs can compete underneath. Look at Liam Delap's a prime example, right? He does well at Ipswich. They get relegated, right? They're going to sell him as a prize asset to try and get money to reinvest in their squad. Aston Villa, Newcastle, Everton, all massive clubs, right, could offer him, I don't know, say 120 grand a week, based on turnover to wages. Chelsea, Manchester United, Arsenal, we'll offer you 300, mate. 200 grand more a week than what you're on. Newcastle can't compete with that. And that's by design by the Premier League. So the project appears to have stalled. The fans' confidence is starting to ebb from this whole scenario. PIF are nowhere to be seen. It doesn't help that this massive Independence Day style spaceship conglomerate that is feeding other clubs, buying their tat every summer from the Saudi League. Why aren't we doing any trade deals with the Saudi League? I just wonder why. Why are we not doing it? Whether it be loan deals or something like that. It doesn't matter if you don't see the PSR benefit. You might get quality players in on a season-long loan that help you achieve something if you're not able to spend in the market. There's not enough creative work being done behind the scenes at Newcastle United. I don't know who's to blame for it, whether it's PIF themselves or the people that have been running Newcastle United UK for PIF. But one thing's for damn sure, shit needs to get sorted. If we end this window flat without the players that we need and Isak goes, mid-table mediocrity is staring us in the face next season again. I'm sorry, guys, but it is. We'll go out to Champions League the first chance we get. The squad won't be big enough or strong enough. A couple of injuries will be absolutely fucked. And what worries me, modern-day football's general tactic is to knee-jerk react and sack a manager. That would be massively harsh on Eddie Howe, who saved these fuckers' arses, on a regular basis and overachieved in every possible way he could have done. And he needs backing and he needs reward. And I hope that's what Big Yasir's meeting was all about. But let us know in the comments below whether you're confident that Big Yasir's meeting means there's going to be a gear shift on transfers and things are going to get sorted, or are you concerned that we're going to end this window massively off in terms of player recruitment, losing Isak as well, and not looking good for the next season? Always like to hear from you. Like and subscribe. Keep it evermore. Have a good day wherever you are. We'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.
Heroes celebrate. They have done it.